October 7th, 2023. Well, a little follow up on the situation, which kind of affects everything I tend to talk about in these. Well, of course, we've had basically the aftermath here is underway of the ousting of Speaker McCarthy. And of course, now we're having a contest to see who the new speaker will be. And in the meantime, the House of Representatives is offline, you might say. Down for servicing. And so, and of course, so that's one of the key issues. Of course, on the Ukraine war issue, of course, the new aid appropriations is cut off because it wasn't in the 45-day continuing resolution that, of course, led to the whole ouster vote in the first place, vote to vacate. So I don't know. Looking back on my last video, of course, I was very negative about it, just mainly because of the sheer stupidity of the action and the needlessness of it. But it's hard to know. On the one hand, I guess former President Trump got involved here, and fortunately, he's instead of entering the race himself, which I didn't think he would do, simply because he's got a lot on his plate right now. He's running a presidential campaign. He's fighting off 4 different indictments. and then, of course, he's got a major lawsuit that wants to take a major piece out of his financial empire, plus another lawsuit, at least from some woman that I don't even get what that is, but apparently she's suing him for defamation because he denied her claim. Okay, or something like that. So anyhow, so given all that, I don't think he really has time to herd cats in the House of Representatives. It's a thankless job anyhow, as you can see. So right now, I guess we have 3. Well, we have 2 announced candidates. Of course, Steve Scalise is running, and Jim Jordan is running as well, and then of course I think a guy named Kevin Hearn from Oklahoma is thinking about it, but hasn't really announced yet, at least as of this recording. So at any rate, and then maybe somebody else will jump into. I hate to even say who I actually favor here, because whatever I favor, I'm sure that they'll pick somebody else. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if you don't end up picking somebody that most people have never even heard of, except the people in his district or something. But I would think Jim Jordan seems to me the best overall choice, I guess, under the circumstances. I understand it that, of course, Trump has endorsed him, and I believe the McCarthy people are actually backing him too, which leaves poor Steve in the lurch. But then he has some health issues that he's dealing with. He says his doctor says he's in good enough shape to handle it, but nonetheless, I don't know. I guess he would be the least disruptive person to put in the job, because Jordan is in the middle of all the investigations of Biden and all the corruption in government, and of course that'll pull him off of that and put him into herding cats in the House, obviously. And when you're in a situation where 5 people can take you out, a very slim group, and after all, it doesn't have to be the conservatives to do it. A moderate faction could do it next time. I don't know if these yahoos on X have thought about that. Just because this time they got the guy they don't like for some obscure reason doesn't mean that that's who's going to get bumped next time. And of course, there is a faction, I understand, that wants that rule changed, the condition for them supporting anybody. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I think the Democrats at this point are laughing their heads off at this, but they later on may not be laughing as much, because right now you have a government that cannot pass bills right now. And so we'll see how that goes. Well, if you like these videos, please give me a like. I'm looking for more subscriptions as always, and of course, click the bell for notifications, and forward anybody who might be interested. Yeah, the thing about this is, and I think Dan Bonino and his radio show, which I listen to most every day, at least part of it, probably not all 3 hours. I would listen to 3 hours of Rush Limbaugh, but Bonino can kind of grate on my nerves after about an hour, hour and a half sometimes. Uh, but we can get into what that is. But at any rate, he makes the point that a little bit overly hostile, I think, in that this isn't really about personalities. Um, the reason why McCarthy did what people don't like is because of the reality of the government that we have. It isn't because he wanted to do whatever it is he did. He was, except for trying to keep the government open and keep, everything functioning, such as, paying the military and that sort of thing. Um, and I think that was his real motivation, of course, but, and I don't know that I could argue that from a career point of view, he kind of made a mistake. I would think, frankly, I wonder maybe he just didn't want to do the job anymore. I mean, as I say, it's kind of thankless when you're dealing with a situation like this, you know, where people do this, and maybe he figured, heck, the stress is too much. If they're really going to vote me out over this, then let somebody else do it, because they're probably going to end up doing about the same thing. That's what I think a lot of these people on X, for instance, don't seem to get through their head. The problem is the Democrats. If you see something they don't like and wrong in Republicans, at least if they're most of the time, it's because of Democrats and the fact you have to deal with them to make the system work. And I've pointed, and you might think I was going a little bit over the board in the last video, anybody that got that far into it, that this could lead to unconstitutional actions if it isn't solved eventually. Not next week or next month, but eventually it would lead to unconstitutional actions if it isn't solved. Of course, I think we'll cave in before that, but I don't know. Or they could end up forcing a compromise with the Democrats, which we really wouldn't like. And that's why I was mainly upset about this. With McCarthy in there, that was not going to happen. But anyhow, and so so that's kind of that. I think we'll see whether they can get it together. I guess they took a week off just to kind of let tempers cool. Apparently, trying to keep things from coming to physical violence in the meeting, which in itself indicates there may be some more repercussions. I wouldn't be shocked at all that there isn't eventually going to be a vote to kick Gates out of the Congress, because all it takes is one Republican on that ethics committee who's ticked off at this to side with the Democrats, even if it isn't justified, and vote to throw it out to the general committee. And if a few Republicans and all the Democrats vote to kick him out, he's gone. Of course, he may actually run for a seat again and win. I mean, he may very well be popular in his district down in Florida, so that's possible too. What a waste of money that would be. Think about it. We waste our campaign money, which could be used for the campaign next year, with him fighting with somebody else in his district, if that were to happen. I'm just saying, this is why I'm very frustrated with this stuff. I mean, I am a contributor to the campaigns in a modest way. I mean, I'm not one of the big donors. I don't go to the expensive dinners, or I don't go to any dinners with it, except out to a restaurant by myself usually. But or a friend or something. But I mean, just saying that this is. But anyhow, we'll see where this goes to. Whether I don't know. Some people think the fact that Trump inserted himself into it will actually hurt Jordan's chances. I hope not. I think he's a good choice, given that we're going to have somebody else. I mean, I have no problem with him. I have no problem with Scalise. I don't know about this other guy. I mean, he might be okay, but I don't think it's going to change the reality of the situation. I'm sure that if Kevin McCarthy could got what he wanted done and put passed into law, you'd all be very happy with it. But the problem is, he wasn't doing what he wanted. He was doing what he had to do. And the next guy is going to do what he has to do. And that's why I think people really don't get through their head about this subject. And I don't know what the 8 rebels think. I mean, like I said, they're not on the same page. That was what I was pointing out last time. I mean, you've got Mace, a pro-abortion person, great conservative, right? Seriously. I mean, I don't know. This Rosendale guy apparently was living for the moment where we would have a situation like this so he could be the asshole I guess that he really is. He's probably right on the issues, he's just wrong on the personality. But anyhow, I guess I'm ranting a little bit. But anyway, that's that. For the moment, I guess aid to Ukraine is on the hold until somebody gets organized, and that's not all bad. Maybe that'll shake up the people in Kyiv and let them start thinking about their idiot 10-point plan is stupid. It's time for them to change their policies to unconditional negotiation with the Russians to try to hammer out some kind of a peace deal before even more people are killed and more damage is done. This war is stupid. That's the point I've been making all along. The only thing I would say about just cutting off aid, it's kind of disingenuous since we caused the war in the first place. Well, mostly. I mean, if you know the history of it, you'd know that the CIA and the State Department and the Soros Open Societies organization were all in on this color revolution that overthrew the government, the elected government back in 2014. Was it corrupt? Yes, probably. Was our last election a little bit on the corrupt side? Yeah, not as bad. Probably not as much as the Ukraine elections are, but none of these are pristine. And the point is, this created all this chaos. It led to internal rebellion, ultimately led to Russia seizing Crimea, and then eventually we kept pushing the issue. They kept pounding on Trump, saying he was in league with Putin, and so Trump, to defend himself, started sending lethal aid to the Ukrainians. I think the British started sending even more because they're really into the war thing, And of course, the next thing you know, well, look where we are. Now there's a lot of talk in Russia about nuclear weapons and potentially resuming testing. I guess throwing out the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which I guess we've never actually ratified, but we're obeying or something like that. I guess that's the case. I haven't looked that up lately, but it seems likely. And I guess the Russians did ratify it. Now they're thinking of abrogating it. And nothing else. People have been saying maybe their weapons don't work. They're old. So they might just want to test a few just to show they do, and then that might have a little bit of political impact. But you never know. I mean, or they may just be bluffing. That's hard to know. But some of the statements that are being made are a little over the top, I think. But, I mean, I don't think the Russian nuclear forces are capable of killing all life on the planet unless you're really, I mean, I just don't think so. But they could definitely take out the United States, that's for sure, pretty much. And our forces could do the same to them. And probably no matter who shoots first, would probably end up still having enough to do that job. Because, I mean, just think if either side totally annihilated the other side's oil refineries, well, need I say more? Societal collapse. So anyway, hopefully none of that will happen. And as far as the war itself, it looks to me like the Ukrainian offensive seems to have just kind of run out of gas. We'll see if there's some talk. Apparently, we're starting to get into the rainy season, so that will make things even nastier for everybody. But probably armored vehicles will get stuck in the mud for the time being. And if that continues, if that's correct, those forecasts are right, then things will probably slow down for a while, and then we'll see what happens in the winter when things freeze over and whatever. But at any rate, we can hope that we end up with picking a speaker next week and get back to business. But I just tend to feel that there's too much, I don't know, kind of crazy in this whole thing about personalities. But anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. By the way, I will, of course, put this on Rumble as always, and of course, I'll be continuing to make various posts on X and some of the other social media sites, which are linked in the description below. I definitely made a bunch recently, so hope it didn't annoy anybody too much. And until next time.